Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Client Success Stories with Coach Jackson. Now, this is a very, very special person and a very special success story that I want to share. This is my client, Robyn. Now, this is a very special one for me because this woman is an absolute legend now in the Action Jackson fitness community. She had just such an incredible transformation physically, mentally, emotionally. She's been such an inspiration to me. Just makes me feel so grateful and blessed to be even a small part of her journey. She's lost over 100 pounds. Her body fat was cut in half from over 50% to down to 26.1%, BMI from 41 to 23, and her strength score on her tonal has almost doubled, putting her in the top 99% for all women. So without further ado, the legend, Robyn, welcome. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
This is so special because your journey has meant so much to me. It's meant so much, obviously, to your husband, who I know very well. And it's meant so much to all the other people in my community, the Coach Jackson fitness community, but also all the people in Tonal. So you really are a superstar. And I just can't thank you enough for being here today. For those people who don't know you at home, why don't you give a little intro, who you are, what you do, that kind of thing.
I'm Robyn. I do accounting work for a healthcare company, and we have lots of animals here. We have a zoo. So that's our little family. We've got 5 dogs, 2 birds, and a cat. So that's about it.
Got it. So why don't you bring me back to where you were before we started working together? And you could share as much or as little detail as you want about that, but take me back to that place before we jumped on the phone, before we talked, where you were at mentally, emotionally, and of course, physically.
Sure. So I think we started talking in December of 2020, and it was in the middle of COVID or a little after, depending on how you look at it. And we had been ordering food every single day, not working out, and gained a ton of weight, both Lawrence and I. And we decided enough is enough. And I saw a Facebook ad for Tonal, and I said, I want that. And we got that. It took a while to arrive since it was in the middle of the pandemic. I think we ordered March or April. Took a good few months to kind of get in. And then I didn't use it. It sat there after waiting all those months. Lawrence was great. He jumped on the bandwagon and took one of your classes and really liked you and connected with you. And he reached out to you, and that's how we got started.
So when you first got it, why didn't you use it?
I don't know. It's hard to get started. That's the hardest part. Even after waiting all those months for it to get there. Yeah, don't know.
So
I needed you to kick me in the butt.
Yeah. So you had a bit of a rough start there where you got the Tonal, you didn't really use it. Lawrence, wanted to join and start working with me. So was this a conversation that you two had together, that you're going to join together? Or was it just like, hey, I'm going to go do this if you want to come along?
Oh, no, we decided to do it together. He knows that I need accountability, and I've had personal trainers in the past, and I just need that kind of personal connection to get me started. So he was very smart in that way. And he thought it would be good for both of us to do it together. And I think that was really a lot of the success that we had, is that we did it together. I don't think either one of us would have been nearly as successful doing it alone. So I have to thank him for that too.
Of course, I agree with you 100%. When you have people in your own household that are on that journey with you, it does make it so much easier because in addition to the community and stuff, you have that extra layer of accountability right there in your home, and you have 2 people who are championing each other, providing that support. So right. I agree with you 100%. That was certainly a big part of your journey. But as you got started, as you were there, did you think that you'd be able to get to this place here? Like, I mean, 100+ pounds. I mean, most people can't even comprehend that. That's losing a person off of you.
Yeah, it was a lot. I was pretty adamant. I don't know if you remember our conversation. I think you thought I was probably a little crazy, but I started out with that goal of 100 pounds, and I wanted to do it in a year. And it was really important to me. Even more above the weight was committing to something, sticking to it, and accomplishing it. I think that was bigger than even the amount of weight that I was shooting to lose. So I wanted to feel like I had really accomplished something, and I do.
Yeah, you certainly do. When you first got started, though, were there moments that you were like, what did I get myself into? I
Oh yeah.
can't do this. I mean, did you face doubt, obstacles?
Yes.
What was that like?
Well, I remember, so we had a pretty good first month or so after phase one. And then I was a crybaby and I came to you and I said, I'm plateauing, and I was whining. I think when we moved from phase two to phase three macros. And so we moved back to phase two and you handled it very well. You were very sweet to me. But I think that was probably the biggest challenge, was not seeing those results and them slowing down, which is completely natural. And,
Yeah.
you told us about that too, and it's normal.
So how did you deal with that? At each point when you hit a sticking point, and I know even towards the end there was a couple times there were some
Mhm.
sticking points where it took a little longer. How did you deal with that mentally?
I just decided that, Lawrence, he created a spreadsheet for me too, that showed all the different aggressive weight loss, the lower one, all the three different types. And so I would plug in where I was to see where I could be, basically according to which point. And that really helped to keep me on track too, because I could see that if I veered off a little bit and, hey, I've got this goal in mind of a year, I better get myself back on track so I can hit that goal that I have. So that was really helpful as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's one thing Lawrence is very good at, is details, spreadsheets, numbers, all
Yeah,
kinds of stuff.
that's my
So,
CPA.
so knowing that even if you plateaued a bit or even if you stagnated a bit, you can still recover and get back there and still reach your goal. That gave you some confidence in knowing that, hey, just stick with it. It's part of the plan, and allowed you to calm your emotions.
Exactly. And most of the time I was actually ahead of schedule, if you will. So that kind of helped keep my reality in check of, hey, you know what? I'm actually doing pretty well in the grand scheme of things. Sure, maybe I only lost half a pound this week, but it's 1 week and it kept me looking at the bigger picture, which is really important, especially when you're on such a long journey like I was.
Yeah, of course. At any point, did it feel overwhelming? Did it feel like, maybe I can't do this? Because 100 pounds is so much. And I know you had the spreadsheet, you had all those things, but a lot of people struggle to take a big goal like that and break it down to those little, like those mini milestones or even the daily habits. Did you have trouble connecting those little things of like tracking your food right now or making this meal today or doing this workout today, connecting to that bigger goal?
Absolutely. And I also chucked it, like you like to say, and I would have a goal of, you know, losing 20 pounds first, or this is the weight that I was at my wedding, or when Lawrence and I met, or, this is the lowest weight that I'd ever been. So it was little milestones too that kept me really motivated along the way.
I know in your post you had mentioned that you really transformed your relationship with exercise and with food. Do you want
Oh,
to
yeah.
share that first? We could tackle exercise, because I remember
Sure.
talking to you at one point and you were kind of like making fun of like, people who work out people, as you called them. And you said, I'm a
Yeah.
workout person now. I mean,
Yes,
that's pretty crazy. Like,
it's
why don't
huge.
you walk me
Yeah.
through that?
Absolutely. So I've never, ever enjoyed working out. And even in the beginning of your program, where, if you decided to have a workout day on a non-workout day and you can have extra calories, Lawrence was all about it in the beginning. I was like, heck no, I'm not doing any extra workouts. I'd rather have less food. Somewhere along the way, I don't know what happened. You completely changed me. And it's a need now. I mean, I have to really make a choice on non-workout days to not work out. I mean, if I have something going on, sure, but if I'm home and I have the time, it's happening. And we also go on walks too. We try to go on walks every night, and that's been really nice. Not just physically, but mentally, to get outside, and then our relationship too. So Lawrence and I, can use that time to talk and connect. So that's been really awesome as well.
Wow. So through the habit of just getting after it and exercising and pushing yourself, you started to develop this almost like, as you said, a need now to
Mhm.
feel that and get that endorphin rush every day. And you've enjoyed it so much. And now you're stacking on additional things that you want to do. And then I love the fact that you're bringing obviously your partner into this and doing something that's bringing you together and something that's sort of adding value to relationship, while also you're getting physical activity. This is something I do with my wife as well. We'll go on walks at night when we get done with our workday. And it is fantastic. It allows you to yes, burn off some extra calories, get some movement in, but also connect with your person and do, have that conversation or talk or do things or get off the phone as opposed to just sitting there and watching television, which so many people do.
Right.
So that's amazing. That's really awesome that you've done that.
And now, I think what Lawrence too, I mean, he'd asked me for years to go on walks and I was like, not really. I don't know if it's self-confidence and being out in front of other people or what, but I mean, now we really do enjoy it. So that's been really awesome.
That's amazing. And before we'll get into the confidence thing, don't worry, we'll definitely talk about that. But before we get there, talk about your relationship with food. How did that change over the course of the last year?
I think, I've never really tracked food before and seen just how many calories and carbs and fats and protein is in the food that I'm eating. And it's really about the quantity too. I mean, the quality, yes, and the nutrition. And I don't know if you remember, but in the beginning, I had trouble finishing all my food because it was so much more nutritionally complete. And we had lots of talks about that, where I felt like this is a lot of food, which was surprising to me that I felt that way. And I wasn't constantly hungry and things like that. Now I see food as more of a fuel. I mean, there's obviously times when I still have cravings, who doesn't? But I would say 90% of the time, it's pretty well managed, which is fantastic and something I wasn't expecting. Now I can go to a restaurant and eat until I'm full and not stuffed. Lawrence and I split meals, things like that, to really, even our cheat meals are kind of in check cheat meals, which is great too, that we don't wake up feeling awful the next day. Nobody likes that. Or it completely derails your entire week, things like that.
So how do you manage some of those cravings?
I find replacements. So I do enjoy cooking. And for example, if I have a Chick-fil-A craving, I have a really good chicken tender recipe with honey mustard that kind of kills that Chick-fil-A craving. So that's been really helpful too, is finding kind of nice substitutes.
Yeah. So your recipes are obviously amazing. You've posted them, I've seen them, and I was so blown away. We're actually working on a recipe book together and I'm slacking on it and I need to get my game up. But that's one of the things that I think a lot of people struggle with, is saying, well, I'm going to have to eat bland, boring food over and over and over again. Chicken, broccoli, rice is what you hear all the time from like celebrities and stuff. Well, how did you transform? I eat chicken and broccoli for every meal. And that's not the case for you. I mean, I've seen quesadillas, I've seen all kinds of stuff that you've done.
Taco soup, chicken Parmesan, all kinds of fun things. And we didn't feel like we were on a diet, which I think is also really helpful, that you have food that you still enjoy eating. But that's much more nutritionally complete than, ordering Chick-fil-A every day.
Yeah, I think that's really the key to your success, is not being on a diet, not being on just a workout program, and just changing your life. This is just how you eat.
It's a new way of life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so incredible. So why don't you tell me about the confidence now a little bit? So where you were at before and then kind of where you're at now. I mean, was it a slow build? Was there just a moment where you're like, oh my gosh, like I've done this, and then the confidence sort of came? Like, what was that like, building your confidence over the course of the last year?
Sure. I think probably once I hit, the lowest weight that I'd been, probably since like high school, that confidence kind of started coming back. Just the fact that I had never reached that point before. There's something really significant about that for me, for some reason. Not quite sure what it was. And feeling more fit and, kicking butt in those workouts and those kinds of things too led to a lot of confidence.
I bet. So there's a common thing about high school genes, and you always hear that, especially for females in terms of their weight loss journey. So that is like a thing, right? I mean, that is a thing, but also getting stronger, being able to move more weight, seeing, your strength score go up, that had to really help build your momentum as well, right?
Right. I know you warned us about really focusing too much on that strength score, but that really was a pretty big motivator too. It's really neat to compare yourself to others and have that kind of visibility to be able to see, hey, I'm pretty damn strong. And that's awesome.
how did you manage to do that, to look at the score or process that, comparing yourself to where you were before, also maybe comparing yourself to others and kind of where they're at in relation to the groups? And again, you're stronger than 99% of all female users, and what is it, 79% of all users total, male or
Something
female,
like
which is
that.
just
Yeah.
incredible. So how did you manage to do that, but also not feel bad about yourself, as maybe at least early on in the phases when you weren't quite as strong, or you still had more to go?
Yeah, I don't think I really paid attention to it too much until it started kind of climbing up there, to be honest. So it's probably a silly answer, but that's the truth.
Sometimes we don't notice things until
Yeah,
we are really doing
right.
well at them, right? And well, I'm kind of curious. So if there's somebody out there and they're sitting there and they're saying, well, Robyn can do it, but she's amazing, or she's got Lawrence, or whatever. What would you say to somebody who's out there who's maybe sitting there kind of like in the position you were in before, and they're lacking in confidence, and they are overweight, and their health is not where they want it to be, and they want to get started, but they don't know what to do?
I would say to call you. um, but really it's taking things kind of one step at a time, and I think breaking up those bigger goals that you have into smaller pieces to make it more manageable, and like we were talking about, not feeling quite so overwhelming. But the hardest part is getting started. I mean, the hardest part was making the decision to buy tonal and then having it sit there for a couple of months and me not using it, and then reaching out to you was a big decision as well, and to start your program. So I think just making that decision to do it, and to be really committed, and to realize that if you do everything that you tell us to do, it's really just a matter of time. So I mean, we had to put a lot of faith in you that we do what you tell us to do and we will get the results. So in our minds, it wasn't a question of if, but when, a function of time. And if we did everything that we were instructed to do. So it's really quite simple when you look at it that way.
Yeah, it is. And that's
Yeah,
a fantastic way to look at it. It's the way to look at it if you want to obviously succeed at the highest levels, which you've certainly done. I know, given kind of where we're at in the world, and there's been, things have been not quite as open and shut down, and they probably haven't had as many social gatherings. But have people seen you more recently who haven't seen you in a while? And what's that been like?
definitely. People don't recognize me sometimes, actually. I've had that happen a couple of times. It takes them a minute and they kind of, you look kind of familiar, I think. And I, have to explain, and they're like, oh my gosh, wow. So that's been really neat. And before, when people would comment on my success, it would almost derail me a little bit, to be honest. So I think actually COVID and having everything shut down has actually helped me. And working from home, where I don't have, kind of that feedback. Well, there's probably something psychologically wrong with that, I guess. But for me, that's always kind of derailed me a little bit. So I think that
Really?
was helpful. Yeah.
Why do you think so?
I think as people would say, "Oh my gosh, you're looking so good." I'd be like, "Okay, I can have that cheeseburger or Chick-fil-A or something
Ah,
kind of like I'm doing good. So here's my little reward." Whereas I've been hidden in the house for a while and, seeing people kind of sporadically. So I think that actually made it easier for me personally.
yeah, there's a lot of research out there that if there's a common idea that if you want to do something, go tell everybody about it. But ever since social media has kind of become more prevalent in people's lives, if you go tell everybody about your goal, they congratulate you before you even get close to the goal. And
Yes.
then people have two problems. They have problems getting started because they realize, or they think that they're closer to their goals than they actually are. And they're getting a lot of that sort of congratulations and all that great feedback without actually having to do anything.
Right. Right. And as you know, Lawrence shares a lot more than me. And so I would always feel uncomfortable telling people that I was starting a workout or a program or a diet. And he would go tell everybody that he's ever met that he's starting this. And, I'm not quite as comfortable with that because I don't know, then there's expectations too. People see you in 3 months and like, dang, she looks exactly the same. Obviously, nothing's changed. So I don't know. That's also a little bit anxiety inducing as well, but it
Well,
worked
I
out.
guess I guess opposites attract, right?
I guess so.
Tell me, have you been back to the doctor or gotten like health markers taken since you've lost all this weight, and what's that been like?
I haven't, but they definitely have commented on the weight and that I'm moving in the right direction, and they're very pleased with that. So that's my next step is I do need to get some blood work taken care of and make sure everything's good. But I didn't have any
I've
really big issues before. But yeah, it would be interesting to see.
So outside of obviously confidence, outside of the physical benefits, have you seen or noticed anything else that's been a benefit of going on this journey? Whether that's just feeling like you could accomplish more or limiting beliefs, I don't know. But is there anything else that's been like, whoa, I didn't realize this was going to happen?
I mean, I bought a two-piece bathing suit, bikini, for the first time in my entire life, for a
Oh,
trip that we had
whoa.
coming up. So that was pretty big.
Wow, that's so awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So where are you going?
We're going on a cruise out of Galveston to the Mexico and the Caribbean. So we're really excited. We haven't been on a vacation in 5 years since our honeymoon.
Oh, that's going to be so fantastic. And that must have felt awesome to try that on and to just go through that whole process, right?
Exactly. I
Oh
think that's
man,
been the
that's
biggest thing for me is finally being able to enjoy clothes. Being as large as I was for so much of my life, shopping was not fun. And so that's brought me a lot of confidence too, is feeling good about myself in those ways. It may seem petty, but it's been really nice.
no, don't downplay it. It's one thing I've told you many times before
Yes.
is don't downplay your success and don't shortchange yourself, because when you have a win like that, it's the world's tough. And as we know now, and we see things happening, that when you have a moment where you've done something really well and you've excelled and you have this moment of bliss or excitement or satisfaction, don't shortchange it, because that's like lightning in a bottle these days, especially. I want to share this with you. You've been such an incredible inspiration to me, and I just feel so lucky and grateful to be part of it. Like, obviously I love Lawrence and your husband, and he's made an incredible transformation, but to see the transformation you made really does mean a lot to me personally, because my mom passed in May. As much as I tried, I was never able to help her, but I feel like God put her on this earth for me to experience that and to learn from her in so many different ways. And one of the ways I did learn from her was that I couldn't help everybody, but it's given me such a passion and such a drive to try and help people, and to help you and to be there as part of your journey has meant so much to me. And I
Oh,
can't thank you enough. It really has meant a lot to me. And I just feel so blessed and so grateful and so appreciative and proud of you. I mean, I can't tell you what it meant to me to watch you along this whole journey. It's been just so fantastic. So thank you.
oh, thank you so much. I mean, we couldn't have done it without you, and we love you and your program. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's been such an honor working with you. And like I said, I'm just so proud of you. And there's so many people that I think can learn so much from your journey. And that's why I was so happy that you agreed to do this with me, because there's so many people out there that I know that you don't want to shine and push yourself into the spotlight, but there's so many people out there who can benefit from something like this and hearing your story and your message, because it is so powerful. And if we were going to make a movie out of any of my clients, like, we would make a movie out of your story, because it is the most incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
That's very
absolutely.
sweet.
Well, any last things that you want to share with the people at home?
So I want to say thank you so much for giving me the confidence to even share my story too, because as you know, I'm much more private than Lawrence. So it was kind of a big deal for me to share on Tonal and even to do this. It's way outside of my comfort zone, but I really feel that it's important to get that message out there. And if I could help anybody in sharing my story, then I'm happy to. So, and keep doing what you're doing, because you're amazing.
Thank you very much. I think one thing that you probably learned through this whole process is that sometimes pushing yourself outside your comfort zone is a good thing.
It is, definitely.
Well, thank you again, Robyn. It's been such an honor and a pleasure to be a part of your journey and to work with you. And I wish you obviously all the best and continued success. And I know you're just going to keep crushing it. So thank you.
Thank you.